Raidou Kuzunoha has always been one of those games that Atlus is more than willing to acknowledge. Like, they'll put references to it in their games with things like soundtracks, costumes, and even making Raidou a playable character, but they won't announce any new games or re-releases of them. Until now, that is. When this remaster was announced a few months ago, I was pretty excited, but I didn't really have a whole lot to say about it. I was just glad to see that this series was finally getting a re-release, which, out of all the Megaton games that have been officially released in English, these were probably the ones that needed a re-release the most. I mean, in North America, these are some of the rarest games on the PS2, usually selling for prices well into the triple digits, and the only official way to get them digitally is through the PS3 online store, which, in the current year of 2025, is not a pleasant experience, nor is it an ideal way to play. This remaster not only modernizes the experience, but it also makes it more accessible, and that's what's important. These are some of the most underrated games in the Megaton franchise, and it's great that many people are finally going to be able to experience them for the first time. Now, I'm definitely going to be doing a video of some kind for it, probably not a review, but maybe a challenge or something. However, a few weeks ago, I got to play an early demo that covered the first 2 chapters of the game, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you my first impressions based on what I played. Now, Atlus doesn't exactly have the best track record when it comes to their remasters. About 5 years ago, they released SMT Nocturne HD Remastered, and it had a lot of problems that a lot of people, myself included, justifiably complained about, but thankfully, those issues are almost non-existent in this version. Though maybe I'm not the best person to ask since I did play the PC version and I have a pretty high-end rig as far as laptops are concerned, but not once did I ever experience any slowdown or crashing or anything of the sort. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to use any of my own footage in this video, but by the time this video is up, the game will be just around the corner and you'll be able to see for yourself. If you're watching this after it's out and you've played any of the console versions, I'd like to hear what your experience was like, especially if you're playing it on the original Switch or the PS4, which, it's pretty crazy to think that we're still getting games for the PS4 12 years after that console's release, but the only technical issue I had was the game being delayed in reading my controller inputs, but it worked after I unplugged it and plugged it back in. And I was using a cheap Chinese knockoff controller that I got from Book Off, so it probably had more to do with the controller itself anyway. Now, visually, the game looks pretty good. It's one of those remasters where you can still tell that it was made for the PS2, but it's been polished and refined and looks and runs much better than it ever could have on its original hardware. Also, just like Nocturne Remastered, this version adds in voice acting, and once again, it's pretty good. And unlike Nocturne, where the voice acting, at least to me, felt a bit out of place because that game was clearly never meant to have voice acting, it feels a lot more welcome here. Not only because these games were released after Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2, both of which were fully voiced, but also because, even in the original, the characters' mouths moved with their speech. However, the biggest and most surprising improvements are the numerous gameplay changes they made. Raidou was actually pretty heavily criticized for its gameplay when it came out, especially by action RPG fans, but many of its issues were addressed in the sequel. In this remaster, most of the improvements the sequel made have been brought over into the first game, along with some brand new improvements. You can freely control the camera, Mag has been reworked to function as your party's shared MP pool, you could dual summon in the first game, Raidou's weak and strong sword attacks are now usable in the first game, he can give his sword properties of other weapons in the first game, the gun is much more viable since you no longer have to manually stock up on bullets, capturing demons is easier now, I mean it's pretty much guaranteed to work as long as you're at or above the target's level. Raidou now has some new sword attacks like these elemental command attacks and a cinematic attack that can be done after a well-timed dodge, and the combat just feels better in every aspect. They've even made improvements outside of battle, like there aren't any more random encounters, you can fast travel, albeit for a small fee, the fusion search function has been added, you can manually select which skills to pass on through fusion, and they even added some new demons from newer SMT games, which is probably the coolest change in my opinion. It makes me hopeful for what kind of things they'll add for remasters of future games. Now, while this demo did leave a good impression on me and had way more work put into it than I was expecting from a remaster, I do still think the $50 price tag is a little steep. For whatever reason, I let my hopes get up, and I somehow deluded myself into believing that this remaster included both games, but no, it's just the first one. And that $50 price tag is just for the base game. There's a $65 digital deluxe edition, which is a little questionable, but I guess it's not as bad as some of Atlus's other re-releases. I guess there was just a part of me that just couldn't imagine Atlus releasing a remaster of only the first game, but I was proven wrong. Let's hope that we get a remaster of the second game sometime soon, which hopefully is just around the corner. I don't know, I mean, Nocturne Remastered released 5 years ago, so hopefully we don't have to wait that long, and hopefully we also don't have to wait that long for a remaster of Digital Devil Saga, which I actually want to see more than a remaster of Raidou 2. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Be sure to tell me what y'all think. Are you excited about this remaster? And for those of you watching after playing it, be sure to tell me what you think of the game. As always, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and until the next video, I will see you all later.